Welcome and good evening, everyone who is tuned in right now. Welcome to the third episode of our GCash Money Talks series. I am your host, Jaz Reyes, and I'll be taking you with amazing special guests today to talk about, GCash and your money as well, and how you can invest it in GInvest. Now, I'll just do a couple of recaps from the previous episodes. You might not have seen it, or I want to refresh your memory, or it's your first time here, everybody is welcome. I'll just give you a recap on episode 1. What happens is we started talking about how we started investing. Now we had Thea Bautista, Melissa Ricks, as well as Lou Sanchez and Maxine Pinpin to tell us about it. And it was so simple to do. What we got from that is that as low as 50 pesos lang, we were able to start our investment journey. And this can go for beginners who have never invested anything in their life apart from relationships. Parang ako ata yan. But we also had experts that tried GInvest for the first time and thought that was so easy. It was so simple. Everything ran smoothly as well. Now on episode 2, it was an exciting one as well. We had a VY. Had Dora Dorado, we had that Blacklist International team come in with Chinkitan to discuss about investing naman in our passion. So I know that there are some intangibles, or like VY's case, their investment is usually in training for their competitions, whilst Dora was investing in how to get some tools to make her TikToks better, her Instagram posts better. So in their passion, but also they realize that now that they're earning money because of their passion, they have to put their money to good use. And it was GInvest and Chinkitan really helped them understand how they can start and how they can further push their hard-earned money to grow for them. So if you were interested in those learnings and you want to get a little bit more information today, this is the perfect place. You are at the perfect place. And if you know a friend who might be interested in it as well, who might want to dabble in it, or is actually scared to get into it because they don't know anything about it, this is the perfect place for them. Kasi chikahan lang po tayo, and we have amazing guests today to help start your investment journey or inspire you to continue it as well. So ito na yan. Please share this link to your friends. You can also go ahead and comment down below any questions that you may have, or baka excited lang kayo sa mga special guests din natin. You could send that on the comments below. And also, like in every other episode, we have prizes to be given away. Meron tayong GInvest starter packs to be credited straight to your GCash account. So kapag gusto niyo yan, tune in lang kayo. We will get into that in just a bit, and I'm so excited and really happy for this episode to kick off. Mapapag-throwback tayo ng onte because we are going back to when it was our time na kaka-fresh grad lang tayo, or getting your first job, or yung first sweldo ninyo. Ako, linaminate mo ba yan? Yung check-in na yan? Or did you give it to your parents? Or did you invest it? Or did you spend it all? Nako, we will go back and reminisce to those times. And best practice talaga actually, if first sweldo pa lang, na-invest na po ninyo yan. So, mas makaka-benefit ka if you start early, if you invest consistently as well. Nako, for me, I actually started yung GInvest journey ko very early. And I invested, and I'm still investing every month. Actually, funny, I actually placed in money just last night. Naglagay po ako ng order. May mga na-reach na ako na goals with my investment journey. Yes, there are months where it goes down, the market goes up and down. But knowing investment from Chinkitan, sinabi nga niya na it doesn't matter whether it goes up and down for the short run. You have to think long term with investing and with GInvest as well. And also, it's best to start now so that there's more room to be aggressive later on. Sinabi nga niya na yung mga early 20s, yuppies, this is the perfect time for them to either make certain or small investment mistakes because there's not a lot in stake. Wala ka pang pamilya to feed. And you can still learn along the way and get better as you grow older as well. So to make mistakes, sabi nga ni Chinkitan, very important so that you can learn more about it and to make investing more worthwhile as well. Yun nga, I heard that there is a quote out there that says, the bigger the lesson, the bigger the blessing as well. Or the bigger the mistake, the bigger the blessing. So don't think na, hala, wala ko alam, tapos pumasok ako, tapos parang nakita ko, pera ko bumaba. No, don't worry about that. That's just for the meantime. We always have to think long term. We always have to think how we can grow as well with GInvest. So now that we've got into recapping the first few episodes, I do wanna share then some facts na sa GInvest na baka mga features na hindi po ninyo alam dito sa GCash app natin. First of all, yung minimum requirement that is really making it very simple and easy for you to apply. Ano ko lang, you just need to be 18 years old minimum, and you need a driver's license or any ID, valid government ID, and you have to fill up a risk assessment form, and you can already start your GInvestment journey. 50 pesos lang po yun. So yung risk profiling, yung na sinabi ko kanina that GInvest does, it takes into account per user, showing which funds best suit their profiles. Para naman may onti kang guide, in investment. And note lang, ito po ay guide lang. You can still choose to invest in riskier profiles, even though sinabi nga sa risk profile mo that you're very conservative, or if you're very aggressive, you can definitely always just invest in conservative investments sa GInvest as well. So yung mga funds na available po dito sa GInvest, meron tayong corresponding prices. For local funds po, yun yung sinasabi ko na as low as 50 pesos lang. For global funds, it's a little bit higher but very attainable for all of us, 1,000 pesos. Kayang-kaya natin yan. So that's the minimum to buy into those certain funds as well. We'll get into yung ano ba yung focus ng itong mga iba't ibang funds later on. But again, 50 pesos for local funds, 1,000 pesos for global funds. And maraming mga companies that you can invest in. Para lang yung 50 pesos ko for a local fund, para lang akong owner or part owner or co-owner ng Ayala Group. Ganon. You can say that. That's exactly what you invest in kapag local po siya. And even for global funds, we're talking about, my favorite one is the Global Technology Feeder Fund. Doon talaga ako nagpo-focus because I do believe that tech is the way to go in the future, whether it's tech that we always use day to day, like let's say TikTok, Instagram, yung mga social media apps natin, or it's tech that gives us hardware, Apple, Apple, Samsung, all of that. So I love investing in that, and those profiles are quite risky. But again, sabi nga ni Sir Chinky, as long as we're young, we can still have the money to spare to invest. Pasok na po natin yan, and it will grow for us later on. I'm in here for the long haul. Hopefully you guys also are tuned in for the long haul sa end din itong live para we can all grow and invest together as well. So I hope na yung mga audience natin naka-tune in right now, mag-sign up na po kayo dito sa GInvest feature natin sa GCash app. Hopefully, I'm sure all of you have the GCash app na po. Pero hopefully you can start clicking on that three-dot icon on the top app screen, and then you look for GInvest. Siya po ay may flower pot na may parang tree, parang ganito po yung itsura niya, yung icon na yan. Click it, sign up na po kayo, get your risk assessment profile while you are tuned in on this live. And I want to remind everyone to stay tuned and listen carefully sa discussion po natin, kasi not only will you learn more about investing, but you can also get a chance to get and to win prizes come the Q&A portion later on. Alright? So now, na sinabi ko nga kanina na meron tayong mga special guests to be here in the show with me to discuss about yung mga first-timers na mag-invest, yung kaka-fresh grad lang mag-invest. Meron tayong amazing panel to help us with that. So first, we have a self-development coach and financial expert checking in as to what she's been doing. We want to invite her here sa stage po natin. Antonette Aquino. Hello po. How are you, Antonette?
Hi everyone! Hello! You know what, Jazz? I'm super hyped up because number one, I just had my third cup of coffee actually. And of course I have yet cheers. And I have yet again another opportunity to share my learnings and of course help our guest speakers and to everyone watching here right now. So I'm super excited for what's in store for this Money Talk series.
Tama, and I'm actually excited to reminisce mga 30 days ago, 1 year ago, na nagkaka-graduate ko lang, 1 year ago lang, from college. Tapos yung unang-unang sweldo ko nung nag-graduate ko, actually, hindi ko nga alam ano yung gagawin ko for my money. I also wasn't good at budgeting as well. Siyempre, small lang kasi yung sweldo ko when I started Pero, adulting na ako, I'm finding certain independence as well. Medyo na-challenge ako and I'm sure people that are tuned in also can relate to that. Kahit na may guidance pa rin tayo from family and friends na how to deal with your money when it comes to financial matters talaga, may onting pressure to become financially independent. But that was my experience growing up. I didn't even know what to do in the bank, where to save it. May mga iba-ibang saving, diamond saving, silver saving, di ko nga alam. So, was that your experience also, Antonette, nung kaka-fresh grad mo lang?
Nako, Jazz, buti ka pa na you experienced that pressure right after college. Sa akin naman, I had to take care of everything back when I was still a high school student. So, hindi pa ako graduate nun. And I completely agree with you that the pressure, I guess, comes from the fact that usually after graduation, that's when parents will cut what we call your financial umbilical cord. So, di ba, wala nang allowance, o di ba, wala nang baon, or wala nang personal yaya. Ako, I never had one. But for others, that's usually the case. And sa akin naman, because I took on the role as the breadwinner at 17 years old, I had to start, managing my finances. And I completely agree with you, ang hirap. I didn't know how to open my bank account. I didn't know how to, do all of these financial matters. That's why I'm super thankful that we have this kind of webinar to help those who are struggling or graduate lang or gagraduate na.
Actually, tama dun. And then I think a lot of people can relate to the fact na may nag-DM nga sa akin kahapon na follower regarding investment. Sabi niya, ano lang ako, college student lang or kakagraduate lang ako. I don't have that much. I don't think I can ever invest. Kasi it's a very daunting arena. Especially kapag saving pa lang. Nahirapan ka na. What more? Diba? Investing. And as a financial expert though, I'm sure you get a lot of questions like this, and especially when you make your videos sa TikTok. Baka naman there are some na we can address later on when we discuss with the rest of our guests as well.
For sure. Usually kasi, Jazz, yung mga questions that I get on TikTok and even from my own clients is more on the how-tos, how to effectively save, how to invest. And now that, investing is sort of like the new trend, especially for the Gen Z, a lot of them are asking how to start. So yes, we will definitely answer them later on.
Ayan, at feeling ko, yung mga ibang guests natin, they have the same questions or they can expound on it or maybe they can relate to those circumstances as well. Pasok na natin yung first, one of our 3 guests today. She is an entrepreneur and founder of Morena Label. She's a content creator. You probably, and I most likely have seen her educate you about your grammar or language as well. We have Ayn Bernos. Hello!
Hello! Hi, Jazz. Hi, Antonette. I'm so excited to be part of the GCash Money Talk series. This is something that I needed when I was younger. So hopefully, our insights can help and I can ask you questions as well. So very excited.
Pero Ayn, young ka pa rin. So perfect time pa rin siya. And I want to ask, what have you been up to lately? Kamusta naman yung business natin during this pandemic and also being a language educator?
Yeah, so Well, during the pandemic, medyo malaking adjustment, especially for the business. So it's been a mix of a lot of things. I've been doing a lot of TikTok, a lot of online work, but at the same time, I've been trying to make the most out of our e-commerce business. So yun talaga yung pinakamalaking transition, I would say, from before the pandemic. Talagang everything is online. So yun nga, when they were asking me before about GCash, oh my gosh, yun talaga, that's what we've been using. It's been such a lifesaver. And almost everyone has been, transacting with us through GCash, which makes me so excited to learn more about this today. Ayan. So, yun talaga yung naging ganap namin during the pandemic. And I'm continuously learning. As a solo entrepreneur, I need to continue educating myself. So, yeah, I'm excited to keep learning.
I love that. Sabi mo, yung sa business mo, you use GCash. It's kind of like every day you need that for your business. Alam mo nga, bumili ako ng suman sa Antipolo kahapon. GCash. May GCash na sila, girl! Sa tabi lang ng road. Sabi ko, ay, sige, GCash. Gusto ko to. Cashless service. And, I know that you are quite familiar with the GCash service. But what about yung GInvest and also investing? Are you into that sphere like Antonette, or first time mo lang ba? And maybe there certain things about investing that you want to learn about today as well?
Yeah, I'm actually a pretty newbie pa ako sa scene na to. Pero kasi I've tried this earlier on. So when I graduated, I tried to invest, insurance, ganyan. Pero honestly, I'm not the most well-versed person about finance. So I'm so lucky na dito kayo ngayon to educate me. Grabe, I'm so excited talaga. Pero ayun nga, so parang at first I was really intimidated. And so instead of investing, I mostly invested on my business. But then, as the years went by, I realized na if you put all of your money in one basket, it's a lot of work, especially kung negosyo. So what I wish na I knew earlier was how to do this. So I just got into GInvest. So I'm learning, I'm actually exploring the features. So ayan, it's actually so much less intimidating na for somebody like me na medyo takot sa numbers. Parang, okay, I can do this. It's very empowering to be able to see it on my phone.
Girl, same din. Takot ako sa numbers, especially sa credit card bill every end of the month. Girl, relate. Hard relate. And I know that we have already our first panel in. Thank you so much, Ayn, for giving us your experience, giving us your thoughts as well. And we want to bring in someone in your TikTok sphere as well dito sa panel natin. Actually, sasabak pa lang siya sa workforce. Very exciting. TikTok personality siya, turned GNA artist and TV host. Let's bring in Rain Matienzo!
Hello! Hi, Jazz! Oh my gosh, I'm just so excited to be with Ayn. And of course, Antonette, grabe. I feel like it's a TikTok takeover. But yeah, I'm just super excited. I am graduating. I just finished my semester. It was crazy. So I think this webinar came at such a perfect time for me because of course I wanna be financially independent. I wanna take more responsibility with regards to handling my finances. Para naman hindi na masyado maabala si mommy sa questions ko.
Love the reason as well. Kamusta ka naman though these days? Nako, yung artista life, kamusta na ba din? Kasi ako, I can only imagine that. Any projects you're working on right now?
Recently, I've been doing a morning show at Unang Series. So yeah, I've just been on standby whenever they need me. I'm there. I'm so excited because I get to do what I love doing, which is speaking, hosting, and of course, the field naman and on TV. So such a privilege to have been able to enter this industry. But of course, trying to hone my talents as well, trying to act a little bit more, enter dance workshop, para naman, kind of trying to be a jack of all trades.
Love it! So, dun ka sa unang hirit, dito ngayon, pangalawang hirit tayo dito tonight sa GCash Money Talk series. And since we're here actually with GCash today, being a GCash user as well, meron ka bang favorite feature of the app? Or familiar ka na ba din sa GInvest?
Yeah, actually, a lot of my aunties, my dad, they're very well versed with investing, and they always, before I even graduated, they've always told us na mag-invest kayo, sayang habang bata. But of course, honestly, I'm not the best at handling my money before, especially during my first few sweldos. When I was still a courtside reporter, student jock, syempre parang maliit lang naman yung nare-receive ko. And I thought to myself, which is not a mindset that I would recommend. I would enjoy myself talaga parang, hashtag treat yourself. Pero yeah, I wouldn't recommend it if you guys are already earning. I would suggest, sana nga looking back, even though maliit lang yung natatanggap ko before, had GInvest existed before, I would have already invested because I'm a heavy user of GCash, especially nowadays. Hashtag cashless forever. So yon. I'm so excited to learn more. Like, again, I'm not the most well-versed with investing, but definitely I would love to learn more. I have some placements here and there, but I think just having GInvest at the convenience of my phone, I think that would make me more interested and put a little bit more money into it. Habang bata nga, di ba?
True. Alam mo, nakaka-relate yung treat yourself. Yun yung mentality ko before. Pero treat yourself to like clothes or food. But I think now what we can actually do very easily is treat yourself to investing and being like almost like an owner of mga big companies both locally and globally. And I think we all can relate. We always say that we're not the best in investing, but I think we can be the best in starting our journey as well. We can do our best to starting our journey, and Antonette can help us as well later on to give us some tips, to give us some tricks so that hindi na tayo beginners at the end of this live. So hopefully, magagawa natin yan today with everybody here. Thank you so much, Rain, as we bring in our third panel. Nako, our last but definitely not the least guest of today. TikTok star po siya. Kilala mo na, actually, no need of any other introduction. Kilala mo siya by Fizz, kilala mo siya by name, kilala mo siya by voice. Actually, by voice pa lang. It's Marvin Fojas!
Hello? Grabe naman yung pa-introduction na yun. Parang sira naman. Ako lang tawag kayo masyado. Hi everyone! Hi Jazz! And sa mga girls dyan na kasama ko ngayon. Napakaganda naman ang mga kasama ko ngayon. Pang Miss Universe tong mga to. Bakit may pa ganun mga posts? Hello everyone! Sa mga viewers natin dyan. Hello guys! Kamusta naman kayo dyan? Hello.
Yes! Everybody is doing good. Nakita na nga namin sa comment section. Dami excited for you as well tonight. Marvin, kamusta naman yung live mo as the TikTok creator ngayon? Kamusta naman fans mo? Kaloka ba siya? Kaloka na ba yung live natin?
Okay, normal. Hindi, actually, medyo nag-a-adjust pa rin ako sa bagong life. Paano ko ba describe? Kasi medyo bago pa lang din naman ako sa industry na to. Parang more than a year pa lang. So, I'm not really used to this kind of scenario. So, I have a lot of work. I'm doing a lot of work now. So, I'm collaborating with many brands. So, ayun, medyo nakaka-overwhelm. Pero at the same time, medyo na-excite na ako. Kasi parang before, ini-imagine ko lang yung sarili ko na ito yung gagawin ko in the future. I'll become a content creator. I'll create, I'll express myself and all that. And now that I'm doing it, parang every day parang medyo bago pa rin siya sa akin. Parang hindi pa rin ako sanay. Parang ganun. And which is masaya. Pero masaya ako in general. Sobrang saya ako ngayon.
I love it. And I think a lot of people who are tuned in then parang nakaka-relate din sila doon sa wish to become Marvin Fojas as well. At wish nila din to become financially secure like you right now. Pero kamusta naman? I know you're earning because ngayon dami mo ng mga collaborations. Kamusta naman yung investment mo dun sa mga earnings natin?
Actually, medyo hindi pa ako nag-i-invest recently, pero andun ako sa point ng life ko na ayun nga, parang na-realize ko that everyday I'm working, I'm earning money, pero yung money ko, andyan lang, parang nasa bank account ko lang, nasa savings account ko lang. And now, I'm exploring some investments. So, recently, may isa akong investment. Pero ayoko lang sabihin, pero ayun nga, I'm still exploring. Medyo nagsa-start pa lang ako ulit. Although before, may experience naman ako when it comes to investing. Nung bago pa lang ako sa work ko, kasi before, I was a pharmacist, so nag-work ako sa pharmacist. And nung nag-start ako, yung mga workmates ko, they are into investing. So parang yung kinamulatan ko na ng mga workmates, so may mga may mga background sila when it comes to investing. So parang maganda rin kasi nagkaroon ako ng idea before and also tried several investment platforms before. Pero nung after years na nag-work ako, parang medyo nawala. Parang nawala yung drive ko when it comes to investing. And now, na medyo, I'm not getting any younger. Pero ayun, parang gusto ko na ulit mag-explore ng mga investments. So yeah, kaya excited na ako ngayon. Kasi for sure, ang dami kong matututunan sa inyo. And let's go!
Let's go. And also, if you have any questions then, Marvin, you can go ahead and ask that to Miss Antonette as we bring all our panel in together in this live right now. So you guys, our audience, know our guests for today. I actually want to kick off the discussion already. And I want to hear actually your experiences when you transitioned from a student to a first jobber. Of course, medyo iba yung experience natin per person, for our panels especially, and the level of independence really will be shifting for each one of you. So let's start this discussion off, again, our transition from student to first jobber, with Antonette, to be followed by Marvin, Ayn, and then Rain.
Right, okay. So in my case, like what I mentioned earlier, compared to most wherein parents would cut off their financial umbilical cord after college, sa akin naman, it had to happen at an earlier stage because my dad's business ended up going bankrupt. So we were buried in debt. I basically grew up in an environment of a lot of financial errors. So yung mom ko din, talagang budol queen. And every time money would come in, it would just go out just as fast. So when we were buried in debt and muntik na ako hindi makapag-graduate because we couldn't afford my tuition fee. And that's what pushed me to step in and start working at 16 years old. So ang dami kong ginawa, ang dami kong side hustles. I was also a freelancer actually. I was doing hosting, modeling, commercial and all of that. And we know how unstable the income can be, right? As freelancers.
Yes.
So when money came in, because I had those money beliefs by my parents, I would also acquire the same habits. So I saw it from my mom, so I was also spending a lot. Then, I started realizing that even though I can earn and I was like a hustler, I couldn't even save at least 3% of my annual income. I was grinding for more than 12 hours a day, diba? Sobrang pagod na. Pero like what Marvin said earlier, my money's just in the bank. It's either in the bank or nasa mga pang-shopping. So it wasn't until I read The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker then I realized the concept of what we call yung financial freedom. And this book helped me reach my first million at 19. Then, dun ko natutunan na, okay, so an average millionaire has 7 streams of income, that we can invest in stocks, that we can be part owners of companies, and that money shouldn't be seen as something evil, but rather as a tool to achieve the goals that I want. And yung goal ko talaga is to be able to spoil my family, diba, take them on trips. And that's what encouraged me to start investing at such a young age, Jaz.
Ganda ng inspiration mo to start investing, that it's really rooted in your love for your family. And what a story, Antonette, what a story. I'm sure it like you say it like it's easy, going through that was easy, but I'm sure it was quite the challenge. With all caps exhale. And I thank you so much for sharing that experience with us as well. And alam na namin we're in good hands while we're asking our questions as well with you. And again, I invite everybody who are tuned in, if you have any questions to Miss Antonette, to Rain, Ayn, Marvin, go ahead and ask that, as we now want to learn how about your experience in transition of receiving allowance from your parents or to earning your first sweldo. Like, we want to hear first from Marvin, Ayn, and then Rain.
Ako naman, before, kasi sabi nung nanay ko dati, parang lagi niya minimension na nag-aaral pa ako. Para siguro ma-motivate ako mag-aaral. Sabi niya, pag nagkatrabaho ka na, mabibili mo na lahat ng gusto mo. E di, ayan, sipag-sipag ako mag-aral. Kasi sinipagan ko, tapos mag-board exam, ganyan, I pass the boards. And then nung nag-work na ako, parang nung first sweldo ko, parang paano ko ito papagkasyahin? Parang hindi pala siya ganun kalaki, like what I have imagined before nung nag-aaral pa ako. Good thing naman sa family ko, they didn't require me to give them my first paycheck. So, I have it for myself. Pero of course, trinit ko naman sila, ganyan and all. Pero yun nga, kasi yung work ko dati, parang nag-field work ako, so I have to spend money for transportation, for lodging and all. So talagang saktong-sakto lang sa akin yung mga first sweldo ko. So ayun, parang hindi pala siya, ang hirap pala, parang ganun. Parang before, super excited ako mag-work kasi I have my own money, I get to spend my money, ganyan, bibili ko yung mga gusto ko. But that's not the case. Medyo mahirap kasi, lalo na pag fresh grad ka, syempre yung salary mo, yung entry-level salary mo, will not be that big enough para makapag-spend ka and all that. Pero ayun nga, good thing din na yung mga workmates ko nga dati was into investing. So parang start pa lang ako, parang first year ko pa lang sa work, I was able to get my insurance, ganyan, VUL, and nakapag-try na rin ako ng mga ibang investment platforms. Pero ayun, medyo struggle siya actually, medyo mahirap.
Yes. And did you actually have the same experience also, Ayn, na parang kuha mo na yung sweldo mo, tapos bigla, bakit may kakat pang taxes dito? Bakit di ganun yung na-earn ko dito? Ganyan mo din yung experience mo, Ayn?
Yeah, super. Actually, when I was in college naman, syempre, umaasa talaga ako sa parents ko. So parang I wasn't really, attentive dun sa cents, dun sa mga piso. Parang I didn't know how much I had sa wallet ko talaga down to the last cent. Kaya nung nag-start na akong trabaho, parang, bakit ganito? Ito na yung lumabas? Okay, is this all of it? Parang, ito na ba yung nasa contract ko? I had no idea. Sobrang confusing. And I guess nung time na yun, hindi pa naman ako masyado, hindi ko alam yung ginagawa ko. So, I was trying to learn, but at the same time, I was also trying to live my life kasi one of the things na excited ako mag-earn kasi para mag-travel. Kasi sinasabi sa akin, that's the one thing na hindi ako binigyan ng pera for traveling. Sabi nila, okay, kung gusto mo, edi magtrabaho ka. Bayaran mo yan. So I was like, okay, the moment I get my sweldo, I will travel. Ayan, that's what I did for the next 2 years. And now, in my mid-20s, I am fixing everything na ginawa ng early 20s self ko. La kotsera.
Pero dito lang muna ngayon, walang international travel pa. But soon enough, because of your TikTok videos, because of who you are as well, kayang-kaya na yan in the future. We heard from Ayn. How about you, Rain? You're just entering it. Did you just sign the contract? And can you relate also na parang hindi ko binasa yung buong kontrata ko? Or nakuha mo na ba yung first sweldo mo? Did you relate to anything that was said by Marvin and Ayn?
Actually, for me, it's very different, I would say, because I started hustling at such a young age. And I was not required to, pick up all these side hustles like hosting, doing radio shows, becoming a courtside reporter. So, looking back, parang I cannot trace kung ano talaga yung first sweldo ko. Kasi before, parang, sige, hindi mo pa first sweldo yan. It's just like allowance. Because when you do small jobs, diba, parang, wala, allowance lang yan. It's just enough for your transport, for your hair and makeup, for the things that you do.
Tip, kumbaga, tip.
Yeah, parang tip lang, ganon. Like, love gift, honorarium.
Yes!
But then,
love it.
I had that mindset tuloy throughout, like, until my income got a little bit bigger. Parang, teka lang, di na yata to honorarium. And it's a little bit different for me because I didn't enter an actual corporate job. And now that I finished college, parang I signed a contract with GMA. So it's not the usual story that you would hear. So I think I'm a little bit lost, honestly, with how to divvy up my money. Kasi iba-iba when it comes, it's like different. This month, next month it's different. So I'm trying to find my own rhythm in that. But I guess just having that value na at such an early age, I already knew the work and the effort that comes into earning my own money. I tried to become a little bit more logical with handling my allowance. I only stopped receiving my allowance maybe a year ago when I became a courtside reporter. But now that I was talking to my dad, sabi ko kay Daddy, grabe, I'm now financially independent. I cannot believe it. I can buy the things that I want. Pero parang gusto ko na ulit maging dependent.
Yeah. Relate!
So yun, it scares me, but I'm excited. It's an excited kind of fear.
And I love that you mentioned din na parang yung mga honorariums. So before, I'm sure, ay, tip lang to, sige, I'll just spend it, just spend it now on things that I immediately have wanted to have been able to buy. Kasi wala ako yung that independence before of my own money to get what I want. I think Antonette actually went into it a little bit earlier on when she was explaining her experience na ano yung na-earn niya, dun niya i-spend. Like her mom, baka medyo may pagka-shopaholic vibes din tayo na we'll just spend it versus saving it. Did you guys actually struggle on these two things, spending and saving? I mean, when you get your first sweldo kasi, iba siya, it's your money, diba? So you can do whatever you want with it, but did you have that mentality of actually saving ilan percent? I know that Antonette also mentioned 3% lang yung na-save niya before of her entire salary. Do you have that same like pie chart na ilang percent lang yung isa-save mo, ilang percent lang isa-save mo? Let's start with Rain first, then maybe Ayn, and then
I guess for me, when I was, nung honorarium level before, I really would spend it. As in, saving was not at the forefront of my priorities when it comes to like when I receive my money. Parang, teka lang, what am I gonna buy with this? I don't even have anything to buy, but I'm thinking about it, so it's so bad. And
yes!
I had to break it. And it's so bad I had to break it because I felt like I deserved it, and I did. But then, of course, I had to be logical about it a little bit more when I became a part-time reporter, because that's when the checks were a little bit more consistent. Parang, I have to be logical about this because I also had to budget my transportation, my when I have side hustles like hosting gigs, I wanted to allot money for that while also enjoying. But that's when I started investing my money, but then not so much pa. Honestly, till now, the way I do it, my relationship with spending versus saving, before I even see my money, I asked help from my mom, which I hope that I could gather more willpower and discipline para hindi ko na spend. Kasi what I tell her, please don't tell me kung ano yung amount na total. Sabihin mo lang sa akin pagka pwede ko na i-spend yung tinabi mo for savings. So
I love
I
that.
hope I could get more responsibility in that sense na ako na, like, she can be out of the picture because it's not going to be like that forever. So
yes, I agree. And I love that you have your mom to help you out as well in that journey. What about Ayn? Do you have someone helping you out or tempting you more to spend? Yung mga kabudol queen mo, do you have that experience?
Oh my gosh, I mean, just scrolling every day on Instagram, ang dami-dami mabubudol. Araw-araw, there's something to add to my cart.
True.
Oh my gosh, but I guess for me, yung from spending and saving, when I was just starting out, wala akong major responsibility. I mean, I was in charge of transportation, food, ganyan. So, sabi ko, pwede naman ako magutom, ganyan. So, I would, instead of like, worrying about those things, parang hindi ko masyado na budget properly. But I guess the pinaka real life awakening for me was when I moved abroad and I got a job in Spain. Tapos pagdating doon, wala talagang tulong from anybody. So I needed to learn how to budget because, I needed to pay rent. I needed to keep some of my money for emergencies, for medical, ganyan. And it became very realistic kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng magkapera. So yun, that's what I learned then. And now, na syempre I have my own business, I have staff na I take care of them, I need to have money to take care of them every month, ganyan. Talagang nagbago na yung buhay ko and how I look at money, and I'm very grateful. Experience taught me that, pero Instagram, nakakabudal pa rin minsan.
It's exciting also. It sounds like a very exciting journey. Ang dami mong natututo as well. And I love that when you mentioned about, I guess, deciding between spending and saving, there's that aspect of this big responsibility that you have, not just at home, not at just your living expenses, but also for your business as well. Marvin, do you also have the same or anything similar to how Rain and Ayn handle their spending versus savings?
Ako kasi, medyo hindi ako organized sa tao. Like, hindi ako yung parang may specific percentage of my sweldo that goes into saving. But I am conscious that I am saving and how much I am spending. So parang yung consciousness ko lang. Pero hindi kasi ako yung magastos na tao talaga. I'm not into buying material stuff and all. Pero nung bago pa lang ako sa work, mahilig na ako mag-travel. So yun talaga yung gastos ko before. Pero I'm not sure if I'm regretting it or not. Pero kasi yung traveling kasi, it's something that will make you grow then. It's an experience. So I'd rather spend my money on experiences than on material things. Which is, I'm living by it kahit hanggang ngayon pa rin. Yun pa rin yung iniisip ko that I'd rather spend money on experiences because it will make me grow. Pero the thing is, medyo maaga akong naging independent kasi nag-move out ako early years pa lang ng work ko. So, sobrang struggle talaga yung spending per saving. Pero kasi yung mga spending ko, necessity siya, like paying rent, paying bills and all. Mga necessity siya and I have no choice but to pay for it. Because if not, mapapalayas ako, wala akong titirhan, wala akong mga gamit na, hindi ako mabubuhay. So ayun, medyo struggle siya if it's a responsibility. Pero if it's not, if it's just for leisure, medyo controlled ko naman yung sarili ko. Medyo feeling ko may self-discipline naman ako when it comes to that. Pero ayun nga, case-to-case based, if you are an independent kind of person, medyo struggle talaga yan. Kasi parang minsan, ubus na yung pera mo sa sa mga necessities mo, sa bills and all. So, minsan, medyo wala na natitira for saving, which is very important din naman yung saving because it's for your future din naman yun, di ba? So, ayun.
Yes. It sounds like nga parang intuition mo yun ng ano yung isa-save mo, ano yung isa-spend mo. And I think kasi sanay ka na on how you know yourself, you know your limitations as well. Kaya, I think instead of you being so organized with the pie chart, intuition, feeling ka, Marvin. Yan. So, and it seems like for all of us, all of our three panels, yung first job really is a big turning point when it comes to changing responsibilities, changing their mindsets between saving and spending because either you learn it or you already know it or you read it from a book. Pero Antonette, what about you? What about your experience? No, first job, out of college, what is that turning point?
Well, that turning point was realizing that I don't want to be hustling this much until I'm 6 years old. I realized that I won't have the same energy. I won't have the time even to grind as hard as I do now that I'm in my 20s. And, when I realized the importance or the concept of financial freedom, that's when I started assessing my goals. So this is where goal-based investing comes in. Wherein you need to know your why. Kung bakit ka ba nagsisave, bakit ka ba nag-i-invest? Because when you know your why, then the house of life or the house of investing will just follow or will be easier for you. Diba? Kasi may levels yan eh. So first is yung financial security, financial independence, and then eventually financial freedom. And it isn't about how much money you have because right now, we can all agree that we're all working, diba? We're all earning our own income. But that doesn't matter if you don't know how to save, if you haven't developed habits of investing or learning about how to grow your wealth exactly. Because essentially, in my case, I know how it feels like to start out as a beginner. I had my own misconceptions na, baka ma-scam na naman ako or ano ba tong stock market? So it really takes a lot of knowledge and of course discipline to learn the basics of investing because essentially you're losing money if your money is just in the bank because your money is losing to inflation. So even then, that is also a risk for you. So yun yung experience ko or yan yung turning point ko on why sabi ko, okay, I need to start investing now because sabi nga nila, your 2021 actions will determine your 2030 or your 2040 lifestyle.
And I think, like you mentioned, the 20s, I want to mention also that some, like Chinkitan earlier in the episode that we had for GInvest said, the younger you can start, the better it is. It's the best time to start. But I'm also sure that for those who are tuned in right now, marami dito mga kaka-fresh grad na lang or yuppies pa lang. Do you agree with Sir Chinky as well that the younger you start, you can make those mistakes and you can still grow?
100% because even in my personal experience, because naranasan ko na yung phase of spending, of earning money at such a young age, now that I'm in my 20s, I already know what not to do. And with regards to investing, it really is better to start earlier because us people in our 20s or the Zillennials, we have the unfair advantage of time. Meaning to say, if we end up losing money, if we commit mistakes along the way, that's fine because you have so much time ahead of you to recover and pick yourself back up. And when you're starting earlier, you get to, get to that phase earlier and at the same time also inspire the people around you na bata pa lang. So we can get out of that YOLO mindset, diba? Na we don't need to save and just spend all your money now.
Tama. And if Antonette was able to do it, lahat na nakatune in today, you guys can do it too. Kaya I keep saying today, diba? Not tomorrow. Sabi nga ni Marvin, he agrees as well. It's the best day to start. Begin with your sweldo tomorrow. Actually, diba bukas is...
the day na.
Yes! Nako!
Wag muna mag-add to cart. Invest muna bago mag-add to cart.
Not. Baka naman kayo, Rain, Ayn, and Marvin, I'm curious actually as to what you guys did on your first step to maybe sort of organizing or handling. Meron ba kayo? You can say yes or no, or you can expound also. Meron ba kayo mga budget Excel file para pinaplanning yung mga expenses ninyo? So we can start first with Rain, then Ayn, then Marvin.
The first time actually I received my sweldo, my mom and I drafted na a pie chart. So, pie chart, I'm a pie chart girl, yes. So when I started TikTok, ganyan, and started earning my checks from there, that's when we took it seriously. So I don't track my expenses. I track my earnings. And I also track what I invest. Kasi parang I don't wanna, I feel like my heart will be crushed lang. I also wanna enjoy my sweldo, of course, as a young zillennial, that's the term, diba? Zillennial. I wanted to divvy up my money in a way na I will enjoy it, but also I want security. Yun nga, when I am like 40 or 30. So,
Agree. And Ayn, do you also have a certain pie chart as well?
Hindi naman ako pie chart. Ako Google Sheets ako. As in, grabe ako sa spreadsheets. Oh my gosh. I love it
Girl,
so much.
pa-share.
Sobrang natutunan ko kasi na how important it is to track every cent. Na talagang ako hindi ako makatulog kapag hindi ko alam nasaan yung 5 centavos, saan ko nilagay yun. And it's so empowering to actually see how your money is moving. Kasi when I started, really following where my money went, I was also more aware of how I was spending. Na, okay, I can catch myself kapag ka napapagastos ako. I can see kung meron akong a little extra, I can invest, ganyan. So, I can make better decisions now because everything is laid out in front of me na hindi ako kinakabahan. Kasi, yung may kaba pag hindi mo alam kung ano nangyayari sa pera mo, it's like, may pera pa ba ako bukas or wala na ba? So, ayun, having the spreadsheet really, really helped me. And ngayon, parang, I have space to invest, di ba?
I like that. Please share me that Excel na pwede ko i-fill in the blank kasi sobrang kulas ako sa Excel. Love it. Marvin, alam ko, I think we're the same na medyo intuition-based tayo. Medyo, into our feelings.
Wala akong pie chart, wala akong Excel. I hate math. My God. Wag niyo ako pinamat. Natapos na ako mag-aral, papabalikin niyo pa ako sa mathematics. So, sasakit lang ulo ko. Pero hindi, siguro depende lang sa personality ng tao. Kasi hindi talaga ako masyadong organized. I'm not very much into details, lalo na sa finances. I hate numbers. I don't like computing. Ayoko talaga. Pero ayun nga, may intuition ako. So I'm very much aware if I am spending too much, if I am still saving, kung naman-manage ko ba yung finances ko. So siguro yun lang sa akin ngayon. Pero I'm willing to explore. Siguro na-try ko yan one of these days to do some spreadsheets. Yes. Kasi may nakita rin ako sa TikTok na ganyan. May mga may mga computations and all. Tapos may mga signals, magpapalit ng color kapag if you are beyond your limit and whatnot. So, siguro ngayon medyo busy pa ako para mag-ganyan. Pero I'm willing to try. Sige, kasi nag-adulting na rin ako. So alam mo yun, yung mga hindi ko nagagawa before, nagagawa ko na ngayon dahil sa it comes with age siguro. Kaya medyo nag-explore ako ng mga adulting stuff. Pero maganda yung ganyan, at least you're in control of your own finances. Kaya parang may power ka talaga. Pag sinabing, eto lagpas na, eto tama na, no na. Unlike kapag sa akin, yung intuition medyo subjective kasi minsan parang hindi pa naman malaki yung nagastos ko. Parang kaya pa naman ng konti. Parang gano'n. So medyo,
I agree. At saka,
hindi rin siya healthy minsan.
Yes, at para kapag may magtatanong sa'yo na parang, kumusta naman pera mo? Hindi yung reply mo, di mo alam,
Oo,
di ba?
walang masagot. Wala bang choices? Wala bang multiple choice dyan?
Multiple choice. Pero I think, Marvin, for those who are tuned in that can relate to Marvin as well and can admit to themselves na ganyan din sila and they want to change or they want to step up their game in investing, that's why nandito po tayo lahat. All our panels have different personalities. All our panels have different ways of managing their money. There is no right, there is no wrong way. Whatever works the best for you and is effective for you, I think is the best method. Pero you can always try to improve, get some tips dito sa live po natin ngayon. So kapag may questions po kayo in regards to spending, saving, you can still send it over dun sa comment section. At yun nga, for everyone that's here also dito sa live natin, we actually want to ask now for our panels, what is your advice for yung mga first jobbers na nanonood dito sa live natin? You know, what is one step that they could take or any tips that they can take away that they can use when they're feeling overwhelmed or a little bit lost with their money? What have you learned that helped you? Let's start with Marvin first, then Ayn, and then Ray.
Ako siguro masasabi ko lang sa inyo, I believe that money can make, I mean time can make things grow. Whether when it comes to your money, when it comes to your passion, when it comes to your skill, your personality, or who you are as an individual, if you will give it some time, it can grow. So when it comes to your finances, as early as now or as young as you are, as early as your first paycheck, mag-start na kayo kagad mag-invest. Kasi kapag regularly and consistently kayo nag-invest, your money will grow. So parang you don't have to always work for your money, but make your money work for you. So ayun,
I love
as early as
that.
now, kasi yun yung na-realize ko ngayon, siguro kung mas earlier ako nag-invest financially, sa skills ko, sa passion ko, sa fitness ko, siguro ngayon, by now, siguro ang dami ko na-achieve na goals. Pero ayun, may mga mistakes din ako nagawa before na hindi ko pinahalagahan yung time. Medyo I took it for granted na bata pa naman ako, I still have lots of time in the future. Pero ma-realize mo kapag medyo nag-age ka na, sayang yung time, ang dami ko pa sigurong nagawa dati. Ang dami ko pa sigurong nag-grow in all aspects of my life, whether it's financially or any other aspects of your life. So, time is very important. Umpisahan nyo na kung ano man yung binabalak nyo mag-invest na kayo, invest na. Go na!
Yes! At maganda na the people who are tuned in right now, we want to encourage them to actually open the app and explore na right now habang nakikinig ka po sa amin. How about you, Ayn? Any tips or advice or anecdotes of what you wish na, ba't ginawa ko na to before?
Yes. But first, can I just say, Marvin, ang dami mo na-achieve. So, kahit na feeling mo nag-aksaya ka ng time, dami pa rin na-achieve. So, okay ka lang.
Thank you.
Well, for me naman, I think one thing that changed my spending habit and how I looked at money was looking at my future and my retirement plan. Now, when I was actually punching the numbers, I was trying to figure out, okay, how much money do I need to retire at a certain age? And when I computed, malaking halaga siya. And
Malaki talaga.
malaki talaga siya.
Ganun, mapapalo.
Mapapala. But I realized na, you know, this is not something I can achieve just by working every day. As in, I cannot hustle every day hanggang matanda na ako na ganun para ma-achieve yun. So, I need to, number one, diversify where I'm getting my income. Like, ano pa bang pwede ko gawin? My side hustle, business, ganyan, investing. Na I wish sinimulan ko earlier. Pero like you said, bata pa rin naman ako. So, it's definitely not too late now. And I'm so excited kasi ngayon, naliwanagan ako. And I am making better decisions. So, hopefully, you know, ma-achieve yung retirement plan na yun. Kasi, sa gaya nga na sinabi ni Marvin, you know, we need to make money work for us. And I really believe that too.
Yeah, I want to actually ask also Miss Antonette, with the anecdotes that we have mentioned here with our panels as well, with regards to retiring and stuff. I think a lot of people don't realize just how much we actually need to invest in. Do you have anything to say about that for those who are tuned in that actually also is thinking about that and want to invest because they want to retire earlier or retire easily?
Right. Well, thinking about retirement, thinking about our goals can be easy, right? But doing it is the difficult part. And that's why a lot of us know na kailangan, like what Marvin said, kailangan natin mag-workout or kailangan natin na mag-save or mag-invest. But a lot of people find difficulty in doing it. And it's because money is behavioral. So that's why I would suggest to really start small first. Kaya there's this challenge called the One Peso Challenge. Diba? Wherein you save 1 peso per day. Now, bakit 1 peso? It's because it doesn't take a lot of willpower to save 1 peso per day. But the idea behind it is just so that you can develop the habit first. So I would suggest even before you start investing, you have to develop those habit of saving muna, because it's the habits that will actually help you achieve your goals eventually. So that's part of the financial planning process.
I love that na magiging habit mo muna siya. And I think it's so great that GCash is bringing it so much closer to you, literally in your fingertips. And actually, meron din feature sa GCash na pwede ka din you let your phone remind you either weekly, monthly, to save as well. So, beautiful tip also for Antonette. Thank you so much. As we move on to Rain, ikaw naman, do you have any tips or advice or anecdotes about what you did if you're overwhelmed with what to do with your money?
At first, honestly, I also was thinking about like retirement, the big picture already. But I kind of wanted to show grace to myself a little bit. Although I do want to think about retirement, I'm thinking about more of like in terms na, paano pag nagpamilya na ako? What am I gonna be able to offer them? What if like, I don't want to depend on whoever my partner is gonna be. So, yeah, my mind's kind of there right now. So, I'm trying to, as much as I want to enjoy my money, travel, all of that, buti na lang at nasa bahay lang ako ngayon. Kung hindi ako, baka kung nasang lupalop na ako, nawaldas ang pera ko. So, now I get to start small. So, when travel opens back up again, I get to be more mindful and be more responsible in spending my money. But so far, the pie chart method has worked for me. So, if ever I want to spend on something a little bigger, like out of the usual, like hindi lang clothes, something maybe I want to invest in, I work for it talaga, like especially as a freelancer. So I get to find a job that will cover for that spending para I can also have additional income to invest para hindi ako kukuha sa regular savings ko.
True. And Ms. Antonette, we want to actually hear from you as well na apart from the things that our panel, Rain, Ayn, and Marvin has shared, do you have actually one of the best, or what comes to mind as one of the best tips for those first jobbers that are watching, and maybe those who are, for all of us getting our swell tomorrow when we see that paycheck, what should we be reminded of?
3 words. Pay yourself first. So this is a concept that's quite popular in personal finance, and it's the idea na before you start spending, mag-save ka na. Because alam naman natin that money not invested is money spent. So I've mentioned earlier that money is behavioral. So if we see our money just like in our bank accounts or sa debit card natin, mahirap we'll be tempted to spend. So the idea is if you save first, then at least whatever is left, you can just spend that. And you will eliminate that guilt feeling because you know na nakapag-save ka na from the very beginning. So that's what I would advise first. And when you keep doing that consistently and regularly, then you will develop that habit. Masasanay ka na every time you receive your paycheck, then you set aside 10%, 20% of your income to an investment already.
And I love that. Pay yourself first. I haven't really heard any of our panels mention that as well, even from the first and second episode. So I love that. Hopefully, if you can take anything away from today as well, GInvest. Pay yourself in GInvest today as well. So sa mga audience natin who are tuned in into budgeting na, actually the next step for you is investing. Now that you know your difference between spending, saving, you've reflected on that, you want to pay yourself. Hindi actually intimidating siya or as complicated as it sounds. I know it's daunting for a lot of people. Actually, marami mga resources and groups that you can actually join para magtanong lang, ask help, because there's a lot of interested beginners who are starting to invest. And yung isang example na pwede ko ibigay sa mga tao na naka-tune in right now, meron po, di ba, umuuso na yung mga FB community with like home improvement, for K-dramas. Meron din tayong community called the GInvest community sa Facebook. I already joined it as well. And it's made actually by several experts where people can get a feel of the app. Meron din mga tips on how to invest and how to use it as well. So I also want to ask Rain, Ayn, Marvin, Antonette, you guys mentioned your experiences with investing, but are you guys actually ready to seriously start it with GInvest? Ibang tanong kasi yan eh. So let's start with kung ano yung mga current goals ninyo in the near future that you're working for financially now, and how probably investing helps you with that. So maybe we can start off with Ayn, and then Rain, and then Marvin.
Yeah, so ako, since, oh my gosh, wala lang, it's so nice to be able to say it, but I want to invest in real estate na parang, wow, wala lang. It's one of definitely the goals, to own something, and I know that it's a big spend. It's not something that you just get overnight, but being able to see how our money can help us, it's really empowering, and to have that goal set and understand na it's possible. Hi, I'm really excited about that. So yun, nagtatrabaho for that. For the future.
Love it! She is a land lady, land owner.
I want to be. Oh my gosh.
Get that hacienda. I love it. How about you, Rain? And
Actually,
yes, Rain.
yeah, same also. I want to invest in real estate, which is funny because whenever I mention it to like people my age, I think it comes with I'm scared, honestly. There's a part of me that's scared because I'm a freelancer. I think you could consider me as that even if I'm under contract. But I'm scared na wait lang, I don't have something consistently coming in at a set amount. So when it comes, I wanna invest it in something like real estate now. But of course, I'm trying to build towards that. So I've tried to invest in like money market. I also opened up my GInvest account. I'm still trying to know more about which investments I could place my money into. That's why this webinar is just so timely for me. So I'm excited.
Yes.
This will be the first step towards, being a landlady as well.
Love it! Ikaw, Marvin, ready na ba tayo maging haciendera owner?
Actually, yun din yung goal ko, magkaroon ng malaking mansyon. Malaki talaga. Mag-isa lang naman akong titira. Na siguro yun, I wanna have my own house and lot in the future. Kasi ayun, iba pa rin kasi yung feeling kapag, you have your own place, you have your own hacienda in the future.
Yes.
Gusto ko magkaroon ng farm. Ang dami palang gusto. Magkaroon ng farm,
Bea
gusto
Alonso,
magkaroon ng
is that
business. Ayun, parang ang dami kong gustong ma-achieve, ang dami kong gustong ma-acquire. Pero mostly mga properties, gano'n.
And you know what? I think, Antonette, would you agree that a lot of the trend right now is getting into real estate, and that's one of the biggest goals when it comes to being certain financially okay or investing into something? Is that the biggest trend that you can see?
Well, in terms of trend, this would really depend because a lot of the people that I know mostly just invest in assets that they really understand. So, meron iba na mas magaling sila sa stock market, meron namang iba na prefer building their real estate portfolio. So, it really depends kung ano yung investment asset that really works for you best and works for your goal best. But even myself, I do want to I am a landowner already, but I want to eventually build my real estate portfolio. I'm not aiming to have a huge mansion or a huge place for myself. I just want like a small condo, but then I do want to buy house and lots to eventually earn rental income also. So yun yung goal.
So I love it, naging investment din siya. And I think for people that are tuned in as well, they're all quite curious also. I think in the thing that's been popping up now is basically mga crypto investments. Stock has always been there, but it's kind of highfalutin for other people that are tuned in as well. Even for people who are actually into stocks, baka yung iba hindi nga masyadong alam pa nga what to do and how to read the trends. But maybe Antonette and I can actually walk you through an investment opportunity that's quite simple, super simple lang siya. and it's really GInvest. And Antonette, I hope you can walk with me as we walk through yung app later para mapakita natin sa audience natin how they can actually start and kick off their investment journey with just a few buttons press as well.
Definitely, I would want to educate them more about GInvest because again, I advocate, investing in something that you truly understand. And that's why, again, I'm thankful for GCash for being able to organize this webinar to really educate the people watching about this app.
Yes, and actually, meron nga din tayong tanong na what are ways that we can actually make this a little bit simpler and understandable for them? Why is it GInvest that is so simple nga? And maybe what is the best way that we can actually start using this? So the thing about yung GInvest is that they offer funds, not stocks. Kaya kanina pinag-usapan natin na iba-ibang mga funds na nandoon sa GInvest. And what it means is that meron po tayong fund manager, and this is ATRAM. And in the second episode of the GInvest Money Talk series, in-explain na ni Sir Chinky na ATRAM has parang been here, done that. This is their forte, dealing and managing funds. And they invest your money in different asset classes. So meron doon stocks, meron doon bonds, meron currencies, all those good things based on a specific theme. So yung fund manager mo is the one picking stocks in your behalf. So when you buy a fund, you're actually buying a unit or a share of that fund that invests dito sa assets natin. Hopefully I made sense. But baka Antonette, meron tayong pwede natin i-explain itong mga iba't ibang fund. I delved on it just a little bit, just the tip. So hopefully you can help me explain what are these 4 funds that are available for everyone to start investing into.
Right, Jess. So like what you've mentioned earlier, what makes GInvest so simple is the fact that it's just very convenient for everyone because we do have funds that are managed by our fund manager, which is ATR Asset Management. So come to think of it, when you do direct stock picking, then ikaw mismo yung mag-iisip when to buy, how many stocks to buy, when to sell. But like what you've mentioned, if you buy a share or if you buy a fund, then you get a unit from that fund. So it makes everything simple. Now, there are many different funds that GInvest offers, and it really will depend on kung ano yung goals mo, like what we mentioned earlier. So the first fund that
to be mayaman. Charot.
To be mayaman eventually, and of course achieve our goals, diba? So the first fund that we have is what we call the money market fund. So ano nga ba to? This is more of a conservative fund, meaning to say it isn't so much high in risk. Meaning to say, if you're a short-term investor, you want to park your emergency fund in an investment na liquid, you can park your money in a money market fund. Now, the second conservative fund that we have is also what we call the Philippine Total Return Bond Fund. So this is a moderate fund because it gives you exposure to what we call bonds. So this can be from local companies and government. So to put it simply, yung bonds, it's a form of debt. Like you basically the government or companies will lend money from you, and in exchange they'll return it with some little interest on top of it. Kaya
wow.
Ganun siya. Now, we have also what we call the Philippine Smart Equity Index Fund. So from the word itself, may smart. Bakit nga ba? Because this fund basically tracks the PSEI or the Philippine Stock Exchange Index. Now, the good thing or the beauty of the PSEI is that this just focuses on the top 30 businesses in the Philippines. So, I'm sure kilala niyo si Ayala Land, si SM Prime Holdings, PLDT, BDO. These are companies that you can actually own or have a tiny of, diba? Pwede din siya. Now, for the exciting funds, Jazz, so these
my
are
fave.
Funds, our favorite funds because this is definitely different than what we are used to in the Philippine market. So ito naman, you get to invest into global feeder funds. So you get exposure from international markets. So the first one that we have is what we call the Global Technology Feeder Fund. So ito naman, it is a more aggressive fund because you're exposed in companies like Apple, Samsung, Google. So imagine that, diba? We are consuming technology nowadays, especially in the new normal. So this is something that is in demand, kumbaga. And you get to expose yourself to large brands as well. So there's all under the Tech Feeder Fund, you also get to invest into a company like Alphabet. So yung Alphabet, it owns YouTube. So right now, I think we also have YouTubers right over here, guest speakers. Instead of consuming YouTube, you get to grow with YouTube also. You get to own a part of YouTube, of course. And then lastly, we have another good fund right over here is the Global Consumer Trends Fund.
Love this too.
Diba? So it lets users invest into innovative companies like mga Shopee, diba? Mga Nintendo, Alibaba. So this is something that we consume on a daily basis. So imagine for these two global funds, you get to start for 1,000 pesos. So usually yung mga budol natin sa Shopee, Jazz, usually around how much do you spend on that?
Girl, nakakahiya. Parang ganon. Nakakahiya.
Diba? So, in that case, instead of just being a consumer, when you invest into these funds, you eventually become an owner. Diba? So, that is what it means to have leverage sa money mo. Wouldn't you agree, Jazz?
I love kasi parang nung na-imagine ko is pwede ko nang sabihin like si Marvin, pwede nang sabihin na TikToker extraordinaire / pharmacist / owner ng Shopee / owner ng Ayala / owner ng Google. Parang yun yung na-imagine ko talaga kasi parang owner ka na ng mga companies like Globe, Ayala, Jollibee, Apple, Shopee, all of those good stuff. And I personally invest a lot dito sa global feeder funds natin because we work with these companies every day. We use these companies every day and you actually kind of understand their trend as we grow older, as we grow with these companies and these technologies. So I believe a lot in it, and I think that's why, Antonette, you were saying that invest in something that you know, and these are products, these are services that we actually use on a daily basis. So me investing in them, kasi mas alam ko, mas may tiwala ako sa sarili ko in knowing that my money will grow for me in the future because I believe these companies grow. Is that the correct mindset?
Of course, Jazz, because investing is all about conviction. So again, if wala kang conviction in a certain asset, better to not get into it. But when you look at these global feeder funds, you get to realize that these are large brands that have good branding, that have good exposure, good sales management, and all of these fundamentals that we have strong conviction in. So that is the right mindset to get into when we're investing.
Kayo, Ayn, Rain, Marvin, when Antonette was listing down all these types of funds, is there one certain fund na parang tumibok ang puso natin kasi parang, hala, dito ako papasok ng pera. Oh yes, saan ka nag-love at first sight sa mga investments natin? Marvin can go first and Ayn and then Rain.
Feeling ko doon ako sa Global Technology Feeder Fund kasi naman natin, the technology is the future. Ngayon pa nga lang, 'di ba, yung technology natin talagang iba na yung progress as compared to the 90s, nung mga bata pa tayo, 'di ba? Parang as 90s kids, alam mo kung ano yung difference dati nung wala pang internet and ngayon, nagrabe yung pagiging progressive ng technology natin. And ayun, kaya saka user din tayo ng mga na yan, everyday we use technology. So it's something na na alam natin na mas mag-grow pa in the future, na mas lalaki pa in the future. So yun yung naging vision ko. Vision!
Love it. Yeah, Raven, that's so Raven. Is that true? So, okay, Marvin, that's how he feels. How about you, Ayn?
Ako, bukod sa enthusiasm yung tatlo, ako rin sa Global Tech Feeder Fund. Kasi I was thinking, if I trust in these companies enough to have my career rely on them, I mean, I'm a vlogger, like nakadepende ko, lahat ng spreadsheets ko nasa Google, malamang dapat may conviction ako dun, diba? So, like what Antonette said na it's all about conviction, I believe in tech, and if mag-i-invest ako dun talaga, and actually I did, I started. proud of
Yes! Ah! And 1,000 pesos lang yung minimum, ha? And let me tell you, like, Antonette, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Certain companies like this, if you want to invest in stocks, there's actually quite a big or large minimum amount to get into it, actually. Am I right or wrong, Antonette?
Well, for global funds, yes. Usually the starting amount to open a brokerage account would be around 5,000. So you would need a higher capital to start investing. And even if you go directly to the bank to invest into UITFs,
Stress siya, girl.
Dati parang 10,000 yung minimum capital na kailangan mo to get exposure to these funds. So it really is great that GInvest is giving this low barrier of entry to make it more accessible to more Filipinos, diba?
Totally agree. And now that let's face it, we're in a pandemic, it's hard and it's actually risky sometimes to be there facing someone, right, face to face. So now that it's just available with a couple press of a buttons and maybe one day max for you to wait until you can actually buy that certain feeder or certain fund. It's just everything is so convenient. Before kasi, if I apply to buy certain stocks, I have to fill up so many forms. Then that forms I have to mail it to someone. Then after I mail it to someone, I have to wait maybe 1 week, 2 weeks until you're approved. So it's very, very hassle, and now it's so much easier. Rain, ikaw, I want to know which of these funds you're interested in. Is it a shopping fund or more conservative ka?
Actually, I have naka-parking money ko ngayon sa money market, but having heard all your insights, syempre, parang now's the best time to invest. I just graduated. There's not a lot at stake. Like I don't have responsibilities pa as much even at home. So I kind of want to explore. I'm feeling also the risky. So global consumer trends feeder fund, because I heard that it has shot up since the pandemic. So Amazon, Alibaba, Shopee. I do wanna try that out habang at least may pandemic pa and see where my money goes. If it goes south, then I'll be okay with it.
And I love that you actually mentioned the word park your money dun sa fund mo of your choice, which is the money market fund, which is a very conservative fund, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Antonette. When you said park your money, a lot would actually mention that as well when they're investing in something conservative. Why is that, Miss Antonette? Why is it a good actually decision to park money that you don't know what to do with yet with a money feeder fund and a conservative fund?
Well, the point of parking your cash is so that you can essentially liquidate it in case you need it. So that's why we have to build our emergency fund. I think we've already realized that during the pandemic, diba, madami nawalan ng trabaho, nagkaroon ng emergency. So it's very important that we do have cash on hand so that we can eventually use it for emergencies. If not for emergencies, then perhaps if you're exploring different investments, then nakapark lang siya doon while you're studying and learning about, what asset you can get into.
Yes.
Antonette, I have a question po.
Sure,
so,
go ahead.
Since you already explained what the different funds are, I just want to know, because I also mentioned earlier that I'm kind of scared with my finances. To be honest, it's daunting. What are the first things to know with investing? Like, how will this help me parang to be more confident and in control of my finances at a young age? Because I don't want to always depend on my mom.
True.
Right.
Actually, naalala ko din yung advice ni Sir Chinky. Feel free to chime in, Antonette, also if tama ba or hindi. But Sir Chinky actually mentioned never to invest in something you do not understand.
Right, correct. And I guess other than that, then it's really also knowing kung ano yung goals mo. Because before you get into any sort of investment, kailangan alam mo kung why you're investing. Is it for rental income? Is it for capital appreciation? And then after that, you have to assess how long you want to invest or what we call your time frame. After you assess your time frame, then that's when you assess kung ano yung risk profile mo. Because when you know kung ano yung goals mo, yung time frame mo, and your risk profile, then you can create that strategy, this investment strategy that will work for you in the long run. So the confidence will come from the fact na alam mo kung bakit pumasok ka sa investment na to. And so that regardless of the market condition, if the market goes down or up, you can stick to that investment strategy. So part of knowing that, or part of being confident, is also, of course, doing your due diligence. So we all are, diba, advocates of researching. You have to know kung ano yung pros and cons ng investment. That way, you know what you're getting yourself into. Diba, Jazz?
I totally agree. And I think someone is asking dun sa comments section po natin. Let's give them an example. Kasi parang we've been mentioning na, yes, you want to know what your goals are when you're investing. But what if yung goals niya, nagtanong siya, is yung ayaw niya ma-depreciate yung pera niya sa savings account lang. So that's why yan yung goal niya on why they started. So what's your tip naman, or following few steps on like, let's say, the habit that they have to do, how much do they have to put in every month? So do you have any tips for that question sa comments natin?
Good questions. So if your objective is simply just to park your cash so it doesn't lose to inflation, then in one of the funds, as we mentioned, there's the money market fund, where it will give you a return of about 4% to 7% depending on the market.
Laki nun.
And diba, 4% is higher than the inflation rate that we have today. So this is something that is conservative. This is something that can be easily liquidated. And that's why it's very important din. Buti na lang alam ng commenter that, you know, she doesn't want to invest in something aggressive. She doesn't seem like the aggressive type. So that is why it's very important to know your risk profile as an investor.
Oo, kasi parang kapag hindi ka masyadong risky, ayaw mo na parang mawala siya bigla, or hindi naman sa mawala, bumaba yung market, because the market does shift from time to time. Kung nakakaba kayo dun sa concept na yan, being able to park your savings dun sa very conservative funds not only is safe, pero it actually gives you more money in return versus saving in a regular bank. I can tell you, because when I started before, Miss Antonette, yung mga banks ko, mga diamond saving na to, parang yung percentage lang is actually 0.9 or sometimes 1 if they're very giving with their return of investment, or your money that you parked in the bank. So this is why GInvest also is a really simple and easy tool to use for you to start your investment journey, kasi hindi siya intimidating, and we're here to help you understand also. Then may mga details na on the app itself, actually, dito sa funds natin, na you don't need an expert on economics to understand, or you don't need to Google it all the time. You really have to do just some very basic research. Maybe you can go on to the FB group of GInvest as well and learn the app itself to start na investing, and you'll actually learn it along the way as well.
100%. And on top of that, again, if you start earlier, then you get to figure out what works for you best. So if you do make mistakes, okay lang yan. And at the same time, you get to continue growing your money, because if, again, it's just parked in your bank account, it's not growing for you. So until you invest that money, your money will not be working from you. And in my case, I wasn't born into a family of businessmen and women. I wasn't well-versed when I started out. So this was something that I had to figure out along the way. And it's because, again, I enjoyed knowing that it really is for my future. So
yes, and I love na minention mo nga, Miss Antonette, na you didn't grow up with business owners and financial planners, kasi marami sa atin ngayon na nakatunin, nakaka-relate kasi I myself, I haven't grown up with anyone that's really like a financial master. So that's very reassuring of you to say.
Right. And I guess part of the reason why a lot of people would also hesitate is really they just don't know where to start.
Yes.
But what I've mentioned earlier is, again, to start small. So you've asked earlier, magkano nga ba dapat, how often? And from the word personal finance is personal. So it doesn't have to be 50% of your income. You can start small, whether it's 10 or 20%, because when it comes to investing, there's no one size fits all na strategy. So again, you don't need to be the smartest. You just have to be consistent. And that's why GInvest offers different features that will help you along the way. And what I really like about the app is you can already see the details of the different funds. Nandiyan na yung information right in front of you. So you get to educate and learn about the different types of funds and its performance throughout the years, diba?
I love na sinabi mo, hindi ko kailangan maging expert sa math. Marvin, we can do this. Ano lang tayo, kailangan
pasok
consistent.
pasok.
Yes, pasok tayo kasi tingnan mo na sa TikTok mo and your content, you're very consistent as well. You're actually more than consistent. You're doing fantastically. So I'm sure with this app as well, kayang-kaya natin to. So ngayon, we want to actually literally start now, and we want to encourage everyone to open yung GCash app ninyo. Pakita nga magkano yung pera, charot. Hindi. We want to open the GCash app, and the next step is with GInvest, you can actually unlock your dreams now rather than later on in life. And it's really as simple as 1, 2, 3 steps, 1, 2, 3 pesos of your button. Just be at least 18 years old, have one valid ID, and just 50 pesos to start in local funds. And remember na, yun na sinabi ni Miss Antonette, consistency is key once you start, and also diversify your funds. So let's get into the app nga. Tingnan natin, and Miss Antonette can help us out as well. So lagay na natin yung pin. Don't share that to anyone. Okay, you can share full, wag lang yung pin. At click natin, so you are in our homepage in the GCash app. At makikita natin yung tatlong dots na nakasulat doon, show more. So we'll press that, show more. And then show more money, charot. We're gonna be seeing so many. Actually, sa GCash app, ang dami mong magagawa, ang dami mong makaka-explore. But let's click the GInvest button here. That is, again, the flower pot with like a leaf. So when you click that, it actually shows you breakdown of your investments if you already started, or if you just started clicking on the app. Actually, it's your first time to click on GInvest. Meron ba tayo dyan in the comment section? If you are a first timer, they'll actually ask you for that valid ID. They'll ask you to fill up some basic information, and they'll also ask you about how risky you are as a person, like risk assessment profile po ninyo. And you're just gonna be answering that truthfully. Wala po siyang right or wrong answers. And I think there are some multiple choices pa, Marvin, ang nakakatulong talaga to.
May choices, madaling sagutan, kayang-kayang sagutan.
Yes! Oo. So, there are multiple choices on how you want to assess your risk. And then, now once you're approved, I think it might take a couple hours. Before, when I applied, it actually took me just a couple hours. But maybe now, since madami na pumapasok sa GInvest, maybe at least like 1 day. And then you can actually click on View Investment Product. At ang cute na mga logos dun sa View Investment Products natin. So again, we mentioned yung mga investment products. Kanina meron tayong Atrium Peso Money Market Fund. That's where, Rain, I think you placed in some of your money, diba? And then we also have the Atrium Total Return Peso Bond Fund. And you can see under all those funds, may nakasulat actually yung risk rating nila. So meron tayong conservative, moderate, aggressive. Ako agro akong babae. So nag-agro talaga ako ng todo with my investment. So there's again Atrium, Philippine Equity Smart Index Fund, Global Consumer Trends, and Global Technology Feeder Fund. So for example, let's click on the Atrium Peso Money Market Fund for those who are quite conservative. At makikita ninyo dun sa app natin, meron tayong graph dito. Miss Antonette, baka you can explain to the viewers at home, how do we read this graph? Baka bigla, they're like me and Marvin na, bigla may graph. Kala ko walang test dito. Bakit may ganito?
Baka ma-overwhelm sila sa mga ano.
Yes.
Kasi math.
Yes. Yes. Walk us through it.
Well, actually, the graph is pretty simple. So it just shows the performance of the fund. You can see it in 1 year. You can also see it in a few months. Although if you want to get a longer time frame of the performance, let's say 5 years, you can also go to the Atram website. You get to also see the whole graph in there. So it's very simple. You can see the performance. But again, take note that the past performance does not guarantee future performance. Ayun po yan.
Ayan, okay. So, ano yung sinasabi dito na meron tayong past 1 year return, tapos may percentage dyan. Yung iba kasi, kung makikita nila, hala, 50% yung increase or 51% past 1 year return, doon ako papasok ng pera kasi aakyat ata ng pera ko ng 50%. How should we read that actually?
Well, the thing is, Jazz, when you're investing using GInvest, you don't need to time the market. Hindi mo kailangan isipin kung kailan mo bibili pagbaba or pataas because that is for traders or that is for those who are directly stock investing. All you need to do is actually be able to save a certain amount or the minimum amount to invest in that fund. So you don't need to worry about timing the market. You just need to worry about how much time you are in the market, how much time you're investing.
I love that. Time in the market is better than timing the market. At may nagtatanong actually dun sa comment section natin, di ba? Nung nag-walk through tayo, when you just open the app, tapos kailangan nila mag-fill up ng form, yung email address nila, answer 9 questions about themselves, yung investment experience and goals. Ano tong risk assessment profile? Meron sila, now they're wondering about that. Ano yung meaning ng why we actually have to do this? And what does it mean if you're a certain person in that risk assessment, whether you're moderate, conservative, or aggressive?
So the importance of assessing the risk, your own risk profile, is knowing which fund will suit you best. Like what we mentioned earlier, if aggressive ka naman, pero nasa conservative fund ka, edi medyo sayang, you're missing out on potential returns. Pagbaliktad naman, you are conservative but then you enter into an aggressive fund, then it may not be something that you can stomach or handle. So that's why it's very important to assess our risk profile first so we know which fund best suits our investor profile. Ganun siya. So again, you can be from conservative to moderate and aggressive, and what's good is that there are 5 funds that you can choose from that each have its own risk assessment din.
At i-discuss nga natin kanina kasi diba Rain, Ayn, and Marvin, they were looking at certain funds as well. Baka naman you can explain to them certain things that they should keep in mind when they're investing in, let's say, sinabi nga nila, diba, yung gusto nilang fund is the global trends or yung global technology feeder fund. So what do they have to keep in mind when investing, or kapag nakaklik mo kasi yung fund na yan, nakikita mo, look at this graph, confusing na naman tayo dito. What do we have to keep in mind for us who are interested in these types of funds?
So when you're investing in global feeder funds like the tech feeder fund, which is quite aggressive, again, it's very important to know kung ano yung purpose ng fund. It also helps when you understand the fundamentals of the fund, like the companies that the fund managers are invested in, and of course, its risk assessment, which is aggressive nga. So those are the few things to consider. So when you understand that, you get to know how much money, how much of your income do you want to put in that fund, how long do you want to invest it for. But essentially, for funds like these, it's best to get into it long term because that really is how you make your money grow.
And when you say long term, every month papasok ako ng X amount of money.
Pwede siya. So that's a strategy called the peso cost averaging, wherein monthly, you just set aside a specific amount, 1,000 man yan, 2,000, and you do it for a certain time. Ganun siya.
Because it weighs out the highs and the lows of what the market usually goes through. So actually, dun na tayo sa, after seeing all these, knowing the risk, and once na-register na po kayo, you can actually see the investment products. Piliin niyo yung ano yung investment product of your choice by tapping view details. So may yan, view details. So I'll be tapping that. I'll be tapping actually the Philippine Equity Smart Index Fund, okay? And then once you click that, if you're decided, you can actually tap buy. Nandito siya, malaking button siya sa baba, buy. Then enter the amount. So I'll click that. Then we're gonna be entering the amount we want to invest in. All right? So yan lang yon. We're gonna be clicking that. And then let's say, again, the minimum is 1,000 pesos for global trends as well. So we can click in. Actually, nakikita mo yan kapag local, 50 pesos, kapag global, 1,000. So for this one, it's pesos, so it's local. So it's 50 pesos, that's the minimum nakasulat doon. And then you can just input the number, and then after that, you can buy it. And next, you'll be asked actually, when you buy, you'll be asked to read and accept yung terms and conditions of the buy order to confirm your order as well. With this, Miss Antonette, baka yun explain bakit ba may ganitong terms and conditions? Baka naman mamaya sabihin nilang ng ibang tao na kakapress na lang nila na tong buy order. Hala, bigla may ano na to. Bigla may contract sign.
May kontrata na ba? Baka malilipat yung yaman ko sa ano.
Yeah, ay, oo.
So, the terms and conditions is really there to legitimize the investment marketplace itself. So, of course, we have fund managers involved. And if we're talking about investment, this has to be regulated. So, this is also to just inform our investors that, the app is regulated. And of course, this is going to be the process of how you're going to buy and to sell your funds.
Okay. So it's just to make sure that everything you're doing here on the GInvest or GCash app is safe, is secured. Wala pong scam dito, guys. So there we go with investing, actually buying that, and you can wait a couple days. Some people actually wait 3 days, some 2 days, depending on the market as well. And then they will be able to buy that order on the time that they bought it as well. At meron din tayong set a reminder feature dito sa GInvest app that you can actually, it's at the front page of the GInvest app, and you can set a reminder and you can put the amount of how much you actually want to invest every middle and end of the month, every end of the month, every end of the quarter. Kasi nga pinapag-usapan natin kanina pa, di ba, Miss Antonette, na it really has to be a habit.
Correct. Oo. And I guess, di ba, minsan nakakalimutan natin na mag-invest or mag-save. So it's really good that we have this feature to remind us na we have to pay ourselves first kasi sweldo na, di ba? Para gano'n.
Yes. Agree. And then let's see naman magkano, how much will you pay yourself tomorrow? You can comment it dito sa Facebook Live po natin. And I actually want to ask if you or the audience have any questions, send them over. And yung panels natin, baka may tanong po kayo?
I have a question po. Ayan. So, diba, since we were talking about like risk assessment, syempre it sounds complicated. All of this is new to me and to, I could be well-versed pa, even more with investing. I just wanna know how safe is GInvest. Syempre, if you continue depositing money or like placing money, it will grow. So the amount that I am putting at risk will grow. How safe is it with GInvest?
Okay, so
help us.
Okay. So basically, the app really is safe. It's super safe because it is backed up by ATRAM or ATR Asset Management. So it's an expert fund manager who invests your fund for you. You can also look it up on Google. You'll see that they have different awards that they've showcased to show that they are reliable and credible for us investors.
Okay, so very official sila. Any other questions from the panel?
I have a question. So I started kasi, diba? Tapos I know that there's the chart na, to somebody like me who's a newbie, parang it's a little, intimidating, or we want to know more how it is. And kasi, to give you guys context, I set my reminder. I set a reminder na every month I'm gonna invest. So what if at the time na I need to invest, it's down? The stock market is down. Is it still safe to invest, or do I need to change anything? What can I do in that situation? Okay, yeah.
Well, this would depend on your financial situation. So, of course, if you have a stable job naman, you still have money coming in, you have your emergency fund built up, then that means you've covered your financial foundation. So, if the stock market is down, then you can take a look at it as if the stock market is on sale. Because if you are ready, if you've covered your financial foundation, then when the stock market is down, this can be an opportunity for you to buy. Diba? It's also the same. You mentioned you want to be a landowner. So when is it best to buy land? It's when it is on a sacrifice sale, when it is at lower price, because then you get to gain the returns. You get to get higher returns from that because you were able to buy low. But Jazz, what do you think in your personal experience then?
Ako nagising ako bigla kasi sabi ko, sale? Yes! Kami ni Ray, nagising
It's the
kami.
stuff
Yes!
that we're after.
Yes, no, but I totally agree. So I dabbled into stocks before, and I'm actually currently dabbling into cryptocurrency as well. And that's kind of the mantra when it comes to cryptocurrency, investing in that, and it's to really buy when no one else is really buying it yet at a very, very low price, and profiting it when the price is way above market value and getting the profit from it. So it's the same thing with this, but what I actually do with all the funds that I have invested in sa GInvest is actually take into consideration what Miss Antonette said, which is the PCA, or the peso cost average. Kumbaga, whether or not I'm going to be investing in every month, like let's say 5,000 every month, and whether or not the market is high, whether or not the market is low, bibili ko lang siya. Kasi at the end of the day, yung highs and lows will average out to a good amount pa rin. Kahit ano ba yung market nun. And sometimes I think people like you guys, I'm not sure if you can relate kasi content creators kayo, you guys think of so many things already during the day, and I'm not the person who can actually really manage every single movement in the market. And that's why I put it into GInvest, is because I have someone doing that for me. I have Atram doing that for me. That's how I see it, Miss Antonette. Tama ba yung vision ko in how I'm looking at my investment?
Exactly, like the PCA, or the peso cost averaging strategy, is something very convenient for those who don't have the time to time the market, diba? To think about all the technicalities. Well, in my case, because it's my job, I have to do it. So I'm also a content creator, and I also have to invest in the markets. But even for myself, I do have a portion of my investment portfolio allocated to managed funds like in GInvest.
Yeah, and I love it na parang meron tayong assistant na mag-invest for us. And our assistant is Atra mismo, di ba? Social. May assistant na tayo, pwede tayo mag-invest. Kakaroon pa tayo ng lupa. Love it. Martin,
Hasyendera.
Yes!
May question po pala ako. Di ba sa GCash, parang makikita mo yung graph, kumbaga yung movement ng fund mo. What if para sa mga katulad ko, mga medyo conservative din when it comes to investing, kapag bigla siyang bumaba, yung parang medyo nakakapanik, i-withdraw ko na ba siya, or i-keep ko lang siya, or should I buy more, or ano bang gagawin ko dito? Parang medyo nakakapanik kasi kapag pag makikita mo mismo yung value ng money mo na nilagay mo.
True.
Right. But it's very common for those who are still quite new in the market. Syempre, when you see the graph going down, kahit we don't understand math, we'll know na talaga we're in a bad situation. The stock market is down. But, again, it will depend on your financial situation. If you have the money, if you do have discretionary income, or the income that we can afford to invest, then I would suggest it's a buying opportunity for you. So, actually, every time I see the stock market na naka-red siya, it's like Christmas, diba?
Yes.
You get to accumulate more wealth. So, you can worry, but it doesn't mean that you have to act on it, diba? You don't have to act on your emotions. So, it really is about discipline and as well conviction. So, those two have to come together. And of course, knowledge then, that's part of it.
I think, yung question ni Marvin is really the question I always get also from followers na kaka-start lang ng GInvest. Parang, bumaba yung 3,000 pesos na na-invest ko. Parang ang sakit nga for them. Maybe do you also have something to, an anecdote or a tip for those who are in that position right now, na parang, grabe, hindi sila sa position na, oh my God, yes, bibili ako. They're in the position na, grabe, ba't ganito? Parang bumaba pa siya mas lalo.
And what if bumaba pa siya lalo? Baka lalong mawala kung hindi ko pa i-withdraw. Parang ganon.
Yes.
Okay, so like what I've mentioned earlier, it's a mix of discipline, conviction, and knowledge. And part of knowing or part of understanding your investment is knowing kung ano yung goal mo. That's why we mentioned dozens of times earlier, what is your goal? How long are you planning to invest? Diba? If hindi mo naman gagalawin yung pera in 10 years, and the market is down now, why are you going to withdraw it, diba? Because we've seen in history, in the 2008 financial crisis, in the 1997 financial crisis, nag-history, we've seen that the markets went down at that time, and it almost always bounces back higher than it was before. So we've seen markets recover, and it's the same thing that we're going through right now. So if you pull out now, sayang din, diba? You don't need to liquidate your money unless you really, really need it. That's why it's very important to also establish your financial foundation na may emergency fund ka, you have cash on hand, you have a job that's paying you money. That way, when the market does go down, you have no reason to pull it out. Diba, Jazz?
Tama. Actually, yan yung the most reassuring thing that you mentioned to them. It's like, you think of it long term. In the long run, super maliit lang itong blimp na nakikita mo na ginagawa mong big deal at malaki yung opportunity loss mo. Kasi parang bigla ka na lang lumabas. Para ka lang, nasa act 2 ka pa lang ng teleserye, hindi ka pa tapos sa show. Okay? Tapos kinat mo na. Sayang. So, tapusin natin yung show. Kailangan at the end of the day, maging kasyendero tayo dun sa telenovela na yan. Okay?
And Marvin, one thing that's for the fund manager to worry about. Ikaw, you just have to worry about being able to set aside money for that fund. But it's the fund managers that are going to strategize kung bibenta ba sila ng fund, ng units, diba? It's for them to think about.
Inagawan ko naman ng responsibilidad yung fund manager.
Oo nga.
Baka wala nang gawin yung fund manager kapag ako nang nag-worry. So, alisin na lang yung worry sa kanila ng trabaho na yun.
Oo.
I love it that you mentioned it that way kasi parang yung nga sinabi natin, parang may assistant tayo na nag-handle ng pera natin. Meron pa tayong fund manager na yung job niya really is to make sure your fund grows. That's always their main goal. That is what they are there to do for you in your behalf. And all you have to do is press a couple buttons, get that confirmation, and start investing na. Thank you also to everyone and to our guests and our panels joining us today. Salamat po sa inyong lahat. I'm sure na we learned a lot about investing in today's episode, and I hope our audience at home will be taking the next step to invest and unlock their goals and enjoy a more secure future. Again, with just 50 pesos and 1,000 pesos for local and then global funds respectively. Because sa GInvest, you can actually achieve your goals and dreams of like si Ayn, traveling, or all of us buying a house, buying land, and gaining financial knowledge and independence faster when you start at an early age. So the best time really to start investing on GInvest is actually right now, today. Sakto pa tayo, payday kasi bukas, and it's easy to sign up. You just need to be at least 18 years old, have one valid ID to verify your account, or your 50 pesos or your 1,000 pesos, and you are good to go. So before we want to close off this whole webinar, I'd love to hear from our panels. First, let's start with Rain, then Ayn, and then Marvin, and then Antonette on what message you want to leave our viewers today.
Oh yeah, hi. Thank you so much for inviting me, GInvest, GCash. I hope that you learned from our experiences, from our mishaps, to what we learned from, investing throughout the years, or just saving our money, spending our money. And yun, kita-kita tayo on TikTok, on social media. It's at Matienzo everywhere. And I just really hope, especially for the youngins like me, mga fresh grads or about to graduate, don't be scared to take that risk for your future.
Thank you so much, Rain, for that. Ayn, how about you?
Grabe, Rain. Host na host ka talaga. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud. As a TikTok ate. But anyway, I guess for me, thank you also, Jaz and Antonette, for educating us. It's always a work in progress for me, and I feel very empowered today knowing how I can use GInvest, diba? Also, I guess to our viewers who are wondering kung kailan ba yung tamang oras, based on my experience, the earlier, the better. It's, we always have room to grow. So if you can do it now, nakuha nyo na yung sweldo nyo tomorrow, just do it. Yes, go do it. Use what you learned.
And Marvin?
Ayun, thank you so much guys for watching, and of course to GInvest for having us. And ang dami ko natutunan today actually kasi parang andun nga ako sa stage ng life ko that I want to invest more. And ang dami ko natutunan. Sana kayo rin, yung mga nanonood dyan, sana marami kayo natutunan sa amin and from our experts, di ba? And ayun, mag-start na kayo mag-invest. Start young, start now, start as early as now. Bukas, pagkakuha nyo ng sweldo nyo or kung first sweldo nyo man yan, mag-invest na kayo kasi time will make everything grow. So, ayun, kita tayo sa mga social media accounts and invest na B. Invest lang eh.
Thank you, Marvin. And also, finally, Miss Antonette.
Alright, thank you so much again for inviting me. Even if I came in as the expert of this webinar, I still learned so much from Marvin, Ayn, Rain, and of course to Jaz right over here. So it's always a privilege for me to be able to share whatever it is I know to everyone watching here, and of course to our guest speakers. So again, if you want to consume and learn bite-sized information, I am also a TikToker if you didn't know. So I do post videos teaching you how to navigate your finances, how to invest. I also have videos about GInvest, so you can also check that out as well. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for our panel, for being here as well. And before we go, we actually want to remind you that consistency and patience is the key in investing. And lastly, diversify your funds and don't put all your eggs in one basket. So think hard about that payday tomorrow. And if you missed the previous episodes that we've already had and discussed a little bit here on this episode, they are actually available to watch on the GCash Facebook page. So follow that, join in the conversation as well, and stay tuned for the next episode. So my name is Jaz Reyes. It has been lovely to be your host this evening, and we'll see you on the next GInvest Money Talks series. Bye, guys!
Bye!
Bye.